In this video, we're going to jump to the heart of the matter by talking about factoring trinomials with binomial factors. First, a bit of terminology. A binomial has two terms, while a trinomial has three terms. Again, this is recall, but it's good to note what we're actually talking about here. So what we really want to do is we want to turn this trinomial, ax squared plus bx plus c, into some sort of a blank x plus that, so some sort of like an ex plus f, and a gx plus I, so to speak. So a bunch of different numbers, okay? But basically we want to figure out a general way to factor this. Now when a equals 1, this is relatively easy. That is, for example, let's factor this. Well, the big game here is what we really need is we want two numbers which add to give -7 but multiply to give 12. Trial and error here, you can play around with the factors of 12 to figure this out. The factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Well, if you play around with these, and I mean you even notice that you could do negatives, because negative times negative is a positive, so -1 and -12, -2 and -6, and -3 and -4. But what we notice here is now we need to figure out what set of the factors we can add to give -7, and that would be -3 and -4. It won't always be the last one, it just happened to be in this case. So what do we do then? Well, then all we have to do is say x and x, and then we go ahead and we write one of the factors here and the other factor here. And now, ta-da, it's already factored. On the other hand, this gives us a much more trial and error feel for when a is not 1. So here, for example, a is 6. Well, to do this, we have to play around with a lot of different factors. Namely, we kind of have to do trial and error with both things. So here, the factors for 5 are 1 and 5. That makes things easier. And the factors for 6 are 2 and 3 and 1 and 6. But now we need to figure out a combination of which we need to figure out how this middle term comes about. Well, the middle term comes about with some sort of multiplication of these factors with these factors. So 17, how can we get to it? Well, 6 and 5 gives us 30. That's going to be way too big. But what if we tried to do, so what would be the combinations of some of these factors? We'd have 3 and 1. So what combination would work? Just give me a moment. A combination that would work would be 2 and 1 and 3 and 5. So this takes some thinking, as you saw on my part. It took a little bit of time. But the reason this works is because 2 times 1 plus 3 times 5 gives us 17, because that is 2 plus 15. Okay? So it takes a lot of trial and error using this approach. So what this actually gives us is what we have is 2x plus 2x and an x, and then we need to figure this out. 3x, yeah. 2x and 3x, and then 2 and 1, so plus, well, the 2 and the 1 multiply, so the 1 would go there, and the 5 would go here. Because that way we get the 5, we get the 15x, and then we also get the 2x. Okay? So go ahead and take your time and factor 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 using the trial and error method I just talked about. Don't feel too bad if you can't figure it out, but on the count of 3 I'm going to reveal the answer. 1, 2, 3. So basically, this is a sort of weird method to do it. But the good news is that we'll have a better method for doing this in the next section. For more practice at this sort of trial and error approach to factoring trinomials into binomial factors, be sure to look at the textbook page 834 and work problems 55 through 62. In our next video, we'll perfect our factoring game by talking about factoring by grouping.